Hey guys, what's up? It's Cheerful Conversations Day. Happy Valentine's Day. I can't wait to introduce my guest co-host, but as we have started with this little tradition about doing a Ask April Anything question, I wanted to share this week's question, and it is, what is the best way to stay positive when everything is going to pieces? Now, you know me as this super cheerful, bubbly person, and I can assure you that sometimes life goes to pieces, but this is a hard one. I think, sometimes when you start this momentum of, this downward spiral and then you just feel like you can't get out, you want to try to look for something to kind of soothe yourself out of it. But I think that it really, really starts with setting intentions before you start to spiral down into that space where everything is going to pieces, and really be proactive about practicing positive mindset, which is something that I do myself, something that I do with my clients. But really getting into the space of being in gratitude, really just focusing on, what's important and, trying to do your best to reframe whatever is happening in your life and looking for some sort of bright side, because there's always an opportunity against every single challenge that you face. And we'll see if there's anything else that we can talk about that in just a little bit, but welcome to Cheerful Conversations. All right. Here I am with my lovely guest co-host for today, Sam Varnerin, who we'll talk about her in just a second. But Sam, before we start, do you have any thoughts about what to do when life seems to be going to hell and you just don't know how to get out of it? Do you have any tricks and tips to share?
So first of all, hi Apryl.
Hi.
Good to see you. My biggest thing is that I know for me, when life is falling to pieces, my big thing is that I start to shut down and close myself off from my surroundings to protect myself, which is probably the worst thing I could possibly do. So even though it's counterintuitive, I always encourage reaching out to somebody you trust and really allowing yourself to release whatever that energy that's making you fall to pieces. So that you don't feel as alone in your journey. Absolutely. So that's probably a big thing for me.
Yeah, I think that that's so important, to just not let yourself kind of fall into a hole by yourself, because life is hard when you're going at it alone, and I've definitely known that it's just really important to surround yourself with amazing people who can lift you up in the times that you need it. So, Yay. Awesome. Now let's actually talk about you and get to know who you are instead of this person that just randomly showed up in the show today. So as we mentioned, this is our Valentine's Day edition of Cheerful Conversations, and I can't wait for you guys to hear what Sam does for a living, because it is freaking awesome. We themed our show as Hugfest 2018 because over the last couple weeks, we challenged each other to a duel to see who could hug more people in the span of 2 weeks and actually document it. And so we will, towards the end of the show, see who won. I don't know who it is. I was afraid to look at all the images and see, but we will find out towards the end of this show, so make sure you stick around for that. But without further ado, Sam, welcome to the show, and why don't you tell everybody this amazing job that you have?
Sure. So, I am a professional therapeutic snuggler. Yes, I cuddle people for a living. So, usually when I tell people this, they kind of just look at me for a minute, and they go, wait a minute, I have no idea what that is, tell me. So, I'll tell you pretty much, it's exactly what it sounds like. I work with adults to cuddle them as part of a therapy, and it's usually in the home. A lot of times because these people are much more comfortable because they don't have to really do anything outside of their comfort zone for this kind of work. As opposed to going to get a massage, which I love getting massages, by the way. They're the best thing in the world. But you have to do so many things to get into that mindset and environment as when you get a massage. Whereas with professional cuddling, all you have to do is simply be you, keep on the clothes that you have on that are comfortable, and you get to touch at your comfort level. So That's what I do for work. I've been doing this for 2.5 years, and actually this weekend I'll be celebrating 1 year full-time.
1 year, that's amazing. I'm gonna just stop 1 second because I'm getting, Miriam is looking out for us, our co-host from last week, and she's like, there's a lot of echo from Sam's side, so I'm gonna just try to really quickly mute and unmute. I have no idea what else to do if it's gonna continue that way, but we'll see. Miriam, if you can give me a heads up on it's still echoing or not, but I feel like I did the same stuff as last week, or last show. So, yes, professional snuggling. That is crazy. So what types of, do you get some, like, different types of, like, reactions in terms of, like, because I feel like some people might think about this as, like, okay, hey, like, that seems kind of weird. Like, do you get any weird reactions when you tell people what you do?
Oh, yeah. So I never know what I'm going to get for a reaction when I tell people that. But it's gotten to the point where because people are, like, some people shut down completely when they hear me say that, and I've actually been barred from networking events just from telling them what I do.
Oh my god.
Because they're just so close-minded on it. But also, I live in the Boston area, so there is a good amount of people that are very open-minded, so, like, oftentimes it ends up being, like, a sit-down session for, like, 10 minutes saying, you gotta tell me more about this, I've never heard of it, but it sounds awesome, and I want to know more. So, and it's getting into the news a bit more these days. It's pretty new in the U.S. It's only been in the U.S. for about 10 years, which is pretty new for different types of therapy, so.
Wow.
But surely.
Well, I'm open-minded, so I'm totally down. So I'm getting comments that there is an echo. I don't know if you want to try to, here we go, like, trying to wing it. I don't know if you want to try to, like, mute yourself and then unmute yourself again. I don't know if that's going to help, but I don't know what else to do. I don't know if I mute you. I don't know. Here we go with, like, technical difficulties.
Try muting myself and unmuting myself. Hopefully that helped a little bit.
Okay. So we'll just keep on going, and thank you guys all for watching who are out there. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll just keep on going and see what we can do. So anyways, I think I wanted to ask you just a little bit more about just your, some fun stories at, in the workplace, because this is such a unique kind of job. Have you ever had, like, a really interesting, like, interaction with somebody that you're able to share? Because I know that there might be some confidentiality or anything, but is there anything, like, that surprised you or that was super fun about your job?
Yeah, so there is something I can share, and it's only because I've asked in the past if I can share this story because it's kind of ridiculous. So I do have business travelers that will come and they are like, oh, this is a service that's here. I wouldn't normally get to get this in wherever they live, so let's do this service here. So I will go to hotels and do this service as well. So this guy had messaged me about a week before he was coming, so we were trying to figure out when to schedule each other, and we just kept missing each other until, like, the very last day he was here on business. And so I was like, okay, great. So I'll come to the hotel lobby. We'll meet there, talk in our safe space, and then we'll go into our session. And it was only going to be 1 hour long. My sessions are usually range from 1 hour up to 12 hours long, but this was a 1 hour session, which is short. So I met there, and this was early on when I first started, like maybe 4 or 5 months in. So I'm just sitting in this nice hotel lobby in, like, Copley Square, which is a kind of, like, nice area, and I'm sitting in, like, sweatpants and, like, a sweatshirt, and it didn't hit me that maybe that wasn't the best thing to be wearing at the time. But, like, he comes down, and he's in a full tailsuit.
Oh my gosh.
So, first of all, just the image of the two of us there, just the stark difference in how we look, I was just like, this looks ridiculous from anybody from the outside looking in. But then I was also like, why are you wearing, like are you going to be comfortable wearing this? And I got the sense that he was actually quite uptight and, like, scared a little bit because he, that's probably why he was looking for the service, because he wanted to relax. But he was just like, I would like to just keep this on because right after our session I need to go meet some clients for a show. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess we can do that. And I had never cuddled anybody in a tail suit before, so I was like, I don't know how to do this. And I'm thinking, maybe he can take this coat off. He didn't want to take the coat off. And I go, well, one of my first positions is usually like, I rest the head on the chest. He didn't want that. So I was like, well, how do we do this then? Like, how do we do this so that you still get what you want out of this, and we don't ruin your clothes for before you see your clients? Mm-hmm. So what ended up happening is I think we both laid down on the bed, like on our backs, like put our hands on top of each other's hands. Like I had my hand down, he put his on top of mine, and we just talked. Which sometimes sessions go like that where we don't like touch much at all. We may hug at the beginning. We may just be like give like shoulder rubs or anything like that. But this was like the most like bizarre kind of arrangement where it's like we can't touch each other because of this limitation, but we're just here. And it was a good conversation too. So he was able to relax during that time and get like the nerves out about meeting these clients. Because he was a young guy, and he just seemed like this was all very new to him. I think it might have been one of his first business trips, actually. So he was like really like on edge. But like right at the hour, he just shot up and he goes, "Is it okay if I just go down like right now, and then you can leave like 5 or 10 minutes after so it doesn't look weird?" And I'm like, okay, I can do that. So I just stayed. He like bolted. I think he like checked in the mirror to like make sure he wasn't like sweaty or anything, and then just bolted down. And I just waited 5 minutes, and I go, okay, that's probably enough time. And then I left. And I can't say I've ever had a session quite like that ever again. But it's one of those things that when I do a confirmation email with all my clients, like I tell them, like they can wear a tank top and gym shorts all the way up to wearing a tailsuit. And yes, I have cuddled somebody in a tailsuit before. So that always, like, if anybody's kind of nervous, like, they go, well, I'm not going to be doing that. Yeah. So, yeah. But yeah, that's probably the mother of all stories that I have for cuddling. For the most part, like, a lot of them are really normal. They're mostly people that are just like, I don't know how to, like, what to do. I feel disconnected from people. I don't know if you can help with that. And for the most part, I can. I'm like one piece of the puzzle, or whatever their solution is. So it's kind of nice that people trust me enough to reach out and be like, I need help. How can you help me? So, which I kind of like that. I like being able to help people.
For sure. It's such a unique way to really, like, have deep connection with people. Like, I love, having deep connection with people in whatever way that manifests. But, like, it's just so great to know that there are people out there that you can trust. Because, I mean, there's a lot of, I would think I was reading something earlier today about just, like, feeling that fear of, like, just not being able to trust others. And, there are people out there that really do care and, aren't going to take advantage of you. And so, yeah, it's so amazing. Okay, I have one more question about cuddling, and then we will talk more about just hugs and all this other crap. So, if you had to give a tip to somebody, and I mean, because it's Valentine's Day, everybody who is in a relationship is going to be with their loved ones. Everyone who's single is going to be wishing that they were with their loved ones. I don't know. But if you had to give some advice about, like, the best, like, the things that you can do to be, like, an awesome, awesome cuddler, what would your tips be from somebody who does it for a living?
Oh man. Yeah. So I'd say there's probably maybe 3 things that would help a lot, and it's funny that you asked that because I actually I saw 2 people at one of the parties I was at recently cuddling, and I was just like trying to bite my tongue because I was like, it's not my place, but that looks incredibly uncomfortable how they're trying to cuddle themselves right now. Mm-hmm. So if I could have told them specifically, this is probably what I would have told them. Okay. Number 1. Always, be mindful of your neck and keeping it straight, because it's really easy to, do motions where you're, on somebody's shoulder and, this for a really long time, or, really far forward, or, this weird, there's a lot of weird contortions as you're doing different, cuddling positions, from, spooning to being on each other to, sitting up and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. You can be in really awkward positions for your neck. but that's no fun, and it can actually put a lot of strain on your neck. So it's like, okay, make sure your neck is comfy pretty much at all costs, and if you have to be in a weird position for a little while, fine, and then that's a good excuse for your partner to give you a neck massage later. But don't do it for like extended periods of time. Like always keep that comfort level there.
Awesome.
Another big thing is that, and this is one that I always like to talk about because everybody's always like, what do I do with my arms when I cuddle?
Yeah.
And there's a whole industry around this. They've made beds with like slant like foam pieces that you can like dig your arm under so that your arm is comfortable, which I kind of laugh at because I would love to have that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, there's an easier way. You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
I like, they do talk about this, and you can, I'll look at this on your own time, but there's a YouTube video of John Stamos from College Humor actually describing this in his Snugglers video. And slight spoiler, that's where I get most of all my comfort tips from, actually. But one of the things he actually does, like, keep it when you're cuddling on your side, keeping your arm above or behind you. And I actually don't like that. I actually suggest like, especially when you're spooning, because everybody's always afraid that their arm's going to fall asleep.
Yeah.
Put the arm underneath the pillow, and then like between like where the neck is, there's like a nice little like nook and cranny here that people forget exists.
Except like then you've got like your armpit in like the person's face, maybe.
No, actually no. I was
like,
actually
not if you're like spooning, but like I feel like if I was facing somebody, I'm like sitting here trying to like.
Yeah, so in those kinds of scenarios, you actually want to go away from the armpit and actually go towards, like, the collarbone. There's, like, a little, like, spongy little spot here that you can put, and it's actually kind of cozy when you're the one on top of, like, the other person. So. And that goes for men and women, too. It's not just, like, with their big broad chests. Like, women have, like, this little spongy spot. I keep touching it right now. Yeah. And then the third one is that, be mindful of your body and like how tight it is when you're cuddling. And I do this constantly when I'm cuddling. So I always like, when I'm like cuddling on my side, I go, okay, I have like one thigh that's like super tight right now. Let's consciously like just release how tight that is. And then suddenly, as I do that, I also feel the other person going, oh.
Yeah.
So being mindful of your own body and your own comfort and like how uptight you might be without even realizing it, and then being aware of it and actively trying to do something about that just makes it super comfy for everybody involved. So.
Awesome. So watch the neck. There's the kind of like be mindful of like where your arms are. Get yourself in a comfortable position there, and then just relax. Cool. Awesome. Great tips. So everybody go and cuddle with somebody tonight if you have the opportunities. So it could even be like your dog or your cat or something like that, right?
Or a professional snuggler.
Oh, yeah, like if you Google, like, is there like a network like all over the country?
Oh yeah, there's national agencies. It's not just me. If it was, I would have a lot of people to cuddle. Yeah, I will go on a stumble tour to do that, but not quite there yet. There's several agencies that employ people across the U.S., mostly in major cities, but they also have people that are in some suburbs that you'd be surprised, like, oh, they serve this area. That's cool. So just look it up and just see if there's somebody in your area.
That's awesome. I wonder if I don't know if anybody here in Chicago that does it, but now I'm going to just go and look. Just if somebody needs a resource, then I'll know like where to find it. So awesome. One of the other things that I like to do with all of my guests is to just talk about like how we met. And I can't necessarily pinpoint exactly how we met because I feel like I saw you but like we didn't really interact until like later, but she is another friend of mine from the World Domination Summit community, which is, such a great community if you haven't checked it out. Just amazing people who are super caring, super giving, like just super supportive. And I feel like this past year, we both went the last 2 years together, right? We were both there the last couple of years. And I don't remember, like, I know that I met you in 2016, but I don't remember, like, that was just such a whirlwind. I was so overwhelmed with, like, but we were probably, I know that you were at, our friend Gary's, improv thing this past year, right? Do you, like, I don't know, I just feel like I'm trying to remember this time when, like, it became, like, very prominent that, like, we were just, like, ending up going all to the same, like, meetups, and I was like, this girl, like, we have probably a lot in common because we're showing up to the same different meetups, because the way that WDS works is that the attendees can actually host their own meetups all over Portland and do things that are either having discussions or doing something adventurous, going and having a drink, or talking about, you know, a topic that you're all passionate about. It's really, really crazy. But I just remember seeing you, and then I was just like, we're just going to be, like, going to everywhere together. It's just super, super fun. Did you do that karaoke thing that one night, too?
I think I went to karaoke, like, every night.
Yeah, so it was like, it's like we just geek out on, like, a lot of the same things, which is amazing. And then you have an engineering background, too, right?
Yeah, I have a civil engineering degree.
Yeah, so electrical engineers, like, nerds in the house, woo! But yeah, is there anything that you remember specifically about, like, just, I mean, that's kind of how we met, but it's funny because I'm like, where did it, I know that you came to my meetup the very last day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was good, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, she's talking about, like, how to have a plan, and she was sharing how she's going crazy with her business. It's amazing. Just, I was so intrigued. But I don't know if you have any other, like, memories or random points to share.
Honestly, on my end, I just remember, my first year, 2016, like, I didn't know anybody. I knew, like, one person from there, so I was just going everywhere. But I just remember, like, every time there was something dancing related, like, I got on that floor, and I remember you were on that floor, and I'm like, that girl over there, I gotta be around that girl over there, and it just happened that we started going to more, and I'm like, I recognize that girl, that was a girl I was dancing with, that was fun. And then I think the next year we just started meeting up more and more, and I'm like, I haven't talked to her much, but, like, she seems so awesome. I want to be around her.
Yeah, I think you're
and
awesome.
Then you held the meetup, I'm like, I'm going. I don't care how tired I am, because I think you held it at, like, 9 a.m.
Oh my god, I think I was, like, I had to be either hungover. I'm not really even, I don't think I was that hungover. I don't know. I don't remember what was happening the night before, but I was so tired. And I just remember that I brought all these oranges, and I was like, all right, everybody, I don't want to bring these home, so, like, let's just drink these waters and eat these oranges, and let's talk about goals. So, yeah, it was super, super great, and I'm glad that, you know, things like that bring you together. It's funny how, like, you interact with people in the craziest kind of ways, and then how they show up in your life later. So, I always just like sharing, you know, how we met. And sometimes there might be things that I remember that you don't remember, or vice versa. I think, you know, a lot of people who are coming on the shows down the road, they're going to be interesting stories. So, yay! That's awesome. One more question for you, which is, or I guess I have two, because this is part of my spiel. What's the one thing let's say non-hug related or non-work related that you absolutely geek out on that people might not know about you?
Oh, the one thing. Oh. See, that's a tough one, because I geek out on so many things. Yeah. I would probably say, oh man. Which one do I want to go with? I'd probably say, you know what, I was just at a museum earlier. I'd probably say it would have to be art. I am the person in the museum. When I went to Berlin last year, I'm pretty sure a security guard was in every single room with me, as I was the only person there, because I was moving so slow, and he probably thought I was plotting to steal the art.
Oh my gosh.
But I just move so slow, because I look at the art, and I just, like, come up with, like, I analyze it like crazy, and I'm just like, oh wow, this is really interesting. I just noticed that everybody has, like, in these pictures are going ball foot, because in medieval times, that's how people walked, because they didn't have hard heels and stuff like that.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Like, little tidbit there. So I geek out about, like, looking at art, and also coming up with the stories of, like, why they are that way. So that's probably a thing that's a little lesser known, that I'll just look at things in a museum forever, and it just get lost in, like, the stories and, like, all the other things that I'm pulling out of my mind that goes into looking at that art. Also, I just like looking at it more because sometimes when you look at something a little longer than most people, you catch things that you normally wouldn't either.
Yeah, so. I agree with that. That's awesome. Yes. Cool. And then I have a random final icebreaker question that I pull out of this, like, little box. So this Vulnerability is Sexy game that I have from my dear friend.
That's cool.
So the card that I picked for you was, what was your personality like as a child? That's the question, and then I wonder if that's any different from what you have right now.
Oh, man. Yeah, so as a kid, I was actually told in, like, my mom was told in, like, parent-teacher conferences, like, this girl is way too serious. Like, I was the kid, yeah, completely different from me now. Like, I do take things seriously, but I was the kid, like, when everybody else was goofing off, I was sitting there, like, I'm here to learn, shut up so I can actually hear the teacher. And like everybody's acting up in the line and the teacher's yelling at everybody and I'm just sitting there like, you're all idiots, I want to go to lunch, I'm hungry. Like I was kind of like, I was a little bit of a grumpy kid in a way, but like, just cause I was like, I'm here to do this thing, why aren't we doing it yet? So I was very serious and took everything seriously, but at the same time it also like stressed me out. I realized, I think it was like sometime in college, like just how stressed out I was from being that way and being so serious. And I still have like my bouts of like, I'm gonna just like inject passion into this and be super serious about it. Yeah. But like, it's I can't do it if I can't have fun with it at the same time. And I'm very thankful. I'm super thankful that like my work has like it's fun when I get to do it because every time I have a cuddle session, like it's not going to always go perfect. Like somebody's going to be in an awkward position. Somebody's going to feel embarrassed because they've never done this before. Or I'm going to try to like move into a different position and accidentally like fall into their stomach face first or something like that. It's just, there's a little bit of goofiness to it and you got to have a little humor with it too. So.
100%. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think when I was a kid, I think I was just really like, intense in terms of like I could not be made fun of, I could not be humiliated, I could not be ridiculed, like anything that was embarrassing, like I just would not have it and I would be a diva about it, I think. And so I don't know, I think that I've been able to embrace this like concept of self-deprecation. People like to see you fail sometimes and you know, but I think that that's part of my perfectionist ways. So having to be able to embrace like, yeah, I screw up on this stuff all the time or I am just not perfect. And then if I can make fun of myself about it, I think it makes it a lot easier. But I think I was telling some of my friends that I had a really like embarrassing moment happen when I was like 23, and it was like I was 23 and I was like so mad, but they basically like drilled it in and like made me feel so bad about it that I had no idea what else to do but laugh about it. So that's kind of the turning point for me where it was just like, you know what, like, okay, you want to make fun of me? That's great. Like I have my tendencies. We all have our quirks. So I'm going to just like let this like freak show like be out in the open and go ahead and make fun of me because it really doesn't matter anymore. And then of course the story stopped because it was like they were almost excited to see me so agitated by the things. So anyways, but thank you for sharing that. But all right, so we're gonna go on to talk a little bit about cheerful news, right? Because this is all that this is about, and this might not, my cheerful news segment does not have anything to do with hugging, even though that's our theme. But I have one, and then you can share yours, or maybe you go first. Why don't you start? Yeah. Sure. So what type of cheerful news story or cheerful story do you have to share with everyone today?
Yeah. So, quick little context. I have Google Alerts set up so that whenever something about professional cuddling comes up, I get an email to tell me that the article is out. And for quite a few weeks, I kept getting these ones for like this particular article, and it was like the same topic for like, I would say almost 2 weeks. So I was like, alright, I gotta read this, even because it didn't have anything to do with what I actually did, but it was still awesome. So I actually have one of the articles pulled up. So there is so anybody that lives in Ireland or is thinking of like finding work overseas if you're in the US, highly recommend looking into Dublin because the Just Cats Veterinary Clinic in Cattery in Dublin actually is hiring for a full-time cat cuddler position.
Oh my gosh. And my clients love cats. I need to tell them about it.
Yeah. And it blows my mind too. Like reading this, they're very serious, like online job posts. And this isn't even just like the thing that like blows my mind the most is like this is like a full-time job. This is 40 hours a week, And they're not like just like stinting you. Like they're paying you like €19 an hour. You can make a pretty good living off of that, as far as I know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like when I saw this, I was like, holy sugar! I'm so happy that this exists.
Yeah.
And it makes sense too, because a lot of cat shelters, depending on their backgrounds, like their first exposure to humans after like some of the traumatic experiences they go to are like they're gonna be skittish. They're gonna be scared. And having somebody that they trust that will help coax them out of their shell is super important. But it still warmed my heart that somebody like took this so seriously and decided like this was something that we need to have a position for. And I was just like, aww.
Yeah. Aww.
As far as I know, it's still open. So if you want to apply, go give it a go. You might have to worry about visas here and there, but whatever, it's worth a shot.
That's so cool. I think, I should look into that. Like, I cuddle every day. Who wants to cuddle with me? Over, and I get paid for it. That's amazing. That is awesome. I love how there's like just so many different ways to make money these days, right? It's crazy. So mine is not hug or cuddling related, but, I was just glancing through a bunch of like articles. I have some new stuff that gets shared to me based on different topics. And a lot of it is, work-life balance or entrepreneurship or what other types of stuff, like just productivity, all the things that I geek out on. And I came across this article about mental health being a part of the New York school system curriculum. And this is just like super important to me. And I was thinking about this as just, something that I wish would be more prevalent in, my kids' education. But there is this piece of, I always look back at college and high school and all the things that I learned. And I feel like mental health was not something that was normally talked about, and that it was almost like a bad thing if you were going to go see the school counselor. Because I definitely had my bouts of rage in high school. Like I remember there was this one time that I was just really mad at my boyfriend. He's probably going to watch this, or my ex-boyfriend now, but my high school boyfriend, and he made me really mad, and I like punched the wall and like broke all my knuckles apart. Like you would not see that as something that I would do, but I totally did. Yeah. And, I had to, talk to the counselor for a while, and I just felt like, this is stupid. Why am I here? Like there's nothing wrong with me, even though there was totally something wrong with me. And I was just really, really upset and passionate about my relationship, and it was just not going the way that I wanted to. And so I was basically like acting out. But, it's, I also see it in my son right now who, he has a short temper, and he's super passionate about like everything. Like if he's reading a book and you interrupt him, he like has a fit. And so, he's been, every once in a while, doing check-ins to like, check on his anger. We talk about stress management at home a lot of the time because it's obviously part of the work that I do. But I think it's so important to start really, really early with mental health, and some of the things that they're doing at the, third grade level. My son comes home with like all these Post-it notes of like just positive things that the classmates are saying to each other, which like I'm hoping will really, really stick, because I'm sure that like 2 years later they're going to be like talking smack about each other, because that's what preteens and teens start to do. But just being able to say like, I like you because you're funny, or, I really like you because you're super helpful, when I have trouble with math problems, or, I really like, the comics that you draw, or something like that. They just really are saying positive things to each other, instead of like, I don't like the fact that you don't do X, Y, Z, or, it's more of a negative spin on things. So I think it's just really, great to see that mental health is becoming something that is more of a priority earlier in life. And I think that that's really, really important. And I feel like that's something that I want to, down the road, maybe in the near future, but maybe not. I'm not really sure exactly how that would look, but to just really take some of the things that I'm learning about myself at the age of 37 to younger kids, because I think it's super important to start that so early, right? So that was my positive news story. So if, you're a parent out there and or somebody who's just passionate about mental health, there's so many different ways that we can do this, but like to really just instill in our children, whether it be your own children or nieces and nephews or the people that you babysit, how can you start practicing more of this positivity and, positive mental health, as early as possible. So that was my positive news story. Yay!
Yeah. I would like to add to that actually, just because like, that is such a huge thing, even for me. And I almost want to like, I even argue like I do geek out about like human interactions and that mental health part too. So like, I can see even in my own clientele like the things that they talk about like as children that manifest into like the person they are today. And like I 100% agree. Like catching it earlier and giving like that positive experience to kids where they talk about the stuff they like rather than ruminating on the negative is just so powerful. So that is so exciting that you're getting that. I wish I got that more as a kid too. So I'm really happy that it's coming out more and more.
Yeah,
absolutely. Especially earlier ages.
So I need to start the movement in Chicago if that hasn't started already. What's really funny too is I always, when my kids fight, I make them, I have them hug each other. When it's all said and done, like, usually it's like, oh, well, he kicked me in the face, and then he'll say, like, but he bit me, and then, but he said something mean, and it's just like this, like, compounding, and I'm not there to witness any of it, but I'm just hearing that they're just going back and forth and, like, hating on each other, and I start with the source. I'm like, this is not okay. Like, you guys need to, like, say sorry to each other, and they start, like, getting teary-eyed, because they're just, they're, my younger son is like super empathetic, and he's like, I'm sorry, and I'm like, give him a hug, and so they start hugging each other, and then they start smiling. I was like, okay, give each other a kiss, and they're like, no. But it's like, come on, just do it, and they're like, no, we don't do that. But it's just it's a great way to like just break the negativity right away, because boys don't want to kiss each other, they don't like to do that. So but it's a great way to make them laugh. So. Yeah, awesome for Cheerful News. Thank you so much for sharing yours, and we will, it's just that, my desire to spread more positivity. I think that the work that you're doing too is a very positive thing. If people can kind of look over the taboo-ness that might come with just this thought of like, oh my God, I like interact with people by like the power of touch, like for a living, which I don't think is a big deal. I mean, yeah, it might make people be like, whoa, that's interesting, but like to have a negative judgment about it is not cool to me. So hopefully,
I mean, it's something that we don't even think about on a daily basis. Like, even going back to the challenge. Oh, you know what? I'm just gonna quickly turn on the light because I'm realizing how dark it looks on my screen.
Sure, no problem. Oh yeah, I'm trying to figure out like what we're gonna talk about.
Oh my gosh, it's so much brighter. Good. Okay, so. But like even when we were doing the hug challenge before, I realized partway through, I'm like, well, one, I'm really bad at taking pictures or videos. Yeah. I like never think to do that, which I'm like, okay, I should probably change that more because I want to get more pictures and videos, even just of me. So like, as I get older, I can still look back on them. Yeah. But like, dude, just like. I don't hug people as much as I think I do. I do, like that's my work. Like I do that all the time. Yeah. So I'm like wow, like even like outside, like I saw like oh yeah, I'll see my boyfriends or I'll like see family and I'll hug them. But like those are also like those aren't daily things. So one of the things that I actually love, though, like when I do networking, I feel a little spoiled that I can get away with this now just because of my work. Yeah. When I introduce myself and like I talk with them, when they're leaving, I always ask, like, would you like a hug or a handshake? And because now they know the work that I do, that like most people I go, yeah, let's do a hug. And they get to like get that too. So I get a little bit of like a kick out of that, being like, okay, I can give a little bit of that oxytocin boost there, so.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, we can probably just start to talk about this whole, there's a couple other things I want to talk about, but maybe we should just, this is a good segue to just talk about, like, this whole hug challenge, because when I came up with the idea, I actually thought about it, like, the second that I finished my last show, I was like, oh my God, we gotta do this, but I need to, like, I want to make sure that we have enough time to get this going, and I was meaning to reach out to you, like, immediately to be like, let's do this. But I had this, like, vision that, like, we were going to, and I don't know how many hugs you got for this challenge yet, but, I was in this thought of, like, oh my God, I'm gonna hug, like, 100 people, and I'm gonna go and, like, go to my, like, neighbors' houses, and I'm gonna, like, go and ask strangers, and I'm gonna just, like, go crazy. And I totally didn't. Like, I felt like I had this, like, fear of, like, I just don't want to go and ask people for hugs and get rejected. And it was the craziest thing, because I think if somebody random on the street was like, I'm doing this challenge and I'm trying to get as many hugs as possible, will you hug me? Like, I would never say no. Like, as a person, I mean, there might be other people who be like, no, but I just felt like, wow, like, I really just was trying to go to the places that I normally go and asking the people that I normally interact with, like, hey, do you wanna do this thing? I've got this challenge going. And I didn't get outside my comfort zone and just ask random people, but I also feel like there was this element of, there's like 2 feet of snow outside, and like, do I really want to go outside? And I just don't know. And so I thought it was really, really interesting as we were going through this challenge together, because I think I reached out to you on the 1st of February. I'm like, let's just do this. I have no idea how this is going to look, but let's just see what we can do. And there were some people that I was like, we're going to hug after this, like, meeting or this appointment. And then I'd totally forget. So It was just like, oh, you have to be super intentional about it. But it made me really think about, like, when I wasn't intentionally trying to get hugs for the camera, am I really hugging a lot of people? I don't know.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's just a challenge for us, just in general, like, how much are we interacting with people in the form of touch? Especially when you're in a relationship and there's, like, all these other people that, a hug is pretty intimate, in my opinion, right? Like, when you're hugging somebody, you want to, like, you get some feels and it's just, like, really, really nice, but, like, do people shy away from that, like, when they're in relationships? I don't know. Like, there was a lot of stuff that was going on in my mind as I was going through this challenge. How was it for you?
For me, like, it was fairly similar, actually, and I had to start really late because, when you gave me the challenge, I was also in the midst of my own little storm of, like, personal stuff that happened, and then the week after, I caught flu, so I was like, I'm not hugging anybody until I get better. Yeah. So I had a very short window to be like, okay, let's get this done. And I remember the first time I was mad because I went to a party and then I left. I should have asked all those people to hug and take a picture. I think I maybe actually hugged like 2 people, which would have made a little bit of a difference. But I was like, wow, I'm really not that like physically close to all these people, even though I always think I am. And so that kind of where it set in too. Yeah. But when I actually went to my one of the co-working spaces that my boyfriend works at, and his co-workers were there, and he said, like, they're pretty open-minded, they're pretty chill, and a couple were hesitant, and one just flat out turned me down, which was like, that was my biggest fear, was like somebody would say no. But then even when it did happen, like, it really wasn't that big of a deal. It's like, okay, you know what, you do you. And I think that was a really important lesson for me. It's like, yeah, like, if it was me, I'd just be like, oh, hell yeah, no, like, get in here, let's do this shit.
Yeah.
But not everybody's like that. And understanding, like, where people are coming from with their respect to touch was also kind of a wake-up call for me, because I think I had started getting into a pattern where I treat my clients very similarly, and I was like, no, they're all different people, and they all have, like, their own likes and dislikes, as far as, like, how much or how little, too. So I should keep that in mind as well. So that was really good overall.
Yeah.
But I was also, like, appalled, like, how little I hug. It took me forever just to get one with my boyfriend. So I was like, wait a minute. I haven't even done that yet. Come over here.
Yeah, I feel like that was the same thing. My last photo was with my husband. I'm like, oh, he's sitting on the, just watching television. I was like, hey, you need to do this right now. And he wasn't even like, it was like more of just like out of just like necessity. Like, I have to do this. I need one more hug. But it wasn't like heartfelt. So that's probably like not ideal, but so I'll make sure that I give him a hug tonight. When we go
on that note, actually, that's something that might be interesting to, a couple months ago, I did this thing called, Questival, which, by the way, if it ever comes to Chicago, highly recommend it. It's an event called, that's sponsored by Cotopaxi. They're a adventure company, but they do this thing called Questival, which involves a lot of, like, outdoors activities and indoors activities that are really weird. Mm-hmm. They actually have a bit of a World Domination Summit feel to it, so I really like it. So some of the challenges will be like, like eat a fruit and stare at a stranger, like as you're doing this, or like crazy little things like that. And I remember one of them was like hug a stranger for 15 seconds, which at the time I was like, oh yeah, no, we can do that. But then when we finally found a willing stranger and we were at the park, I just made a sign that said free hug and then in parentheses 15 seconds. And some guy just came up and he said, it has to be 15 seconds. And I'm like, yes, because we have to record it and submit it so people know that I did it.
Yeah.
And so we hugged, and it wasn't until we did that 15 seconds. Like, the first, like, 5 seconds were like, yeah, you know what, this is good. And then the next 5 seconds were like, this is starting to feel kind of long now.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like the awkward zone where we're just like, should we still be hugging? Is this too long? Is it almost going to be over? Yeah. But I also noticed, like, the last 5 seconds was interesting because then we were just like, oh. Yeah, we're really here with each other now.
Yeah.
So that was I wish with people that I'm around, I think I should probably be hugging them longer just to see what happens. They might just be like, what the hell are you doing? Stop hugging.
You're like, let go now. And I think that also goes along with, like, awkward silences and all that. It's like when something lingers, like, just too long, there's this, like, feeling of, like, oh my god, I need to, like, do something now because it just needs to break the pattern of, like, this, like, silence or this discomfort. And, you know, hugging somebody for that long is also the same way. I mean, I've probably mentioned this in, like, one of my last episodes, but, like, in one of my improv classes, we had to, like, stare at somebody, like, in their eyes for, like, what felt like, it was probably, like, 5 minutes that we were, like, had to, like, lock eyes, and I'm, like, the worst at eye contact. And so it was, like, ugh, like, I can't do this, but by the end of it, I'm like, okay, I think that the next time I have to stare at somebody's eyes for, like, a minute, it's not going to be nearly as bad as it would have been if I didn't do this exercise. So it's just really, like, really pushing yourself out of whatever's comfortable. So
1 minute, nothing compared to 5 minutes. So
yeah,
you're like, nothing. I've done worse.
Yeah, but I still feel like 1 minute is. I can't even sit 1 minute in silence sometimes. So that's just one of my quirks. So, all right, should we just go in and, like, look at these hug challenge results?
I'm kind of curious. Yeah, I kind of do.
And I don't know if you will be able to see it just because, but I'll put it in the order of what you shared with me, and let's see if I can. I'm going to pull this up, and then I'm going to share my screen. I don't know if anybody is watching live. Oh, we've got 3 people watching live right now. Who's watching? Come say hi. I hope that our audio issues have been somewhat resolved, but not quite sure. So let me see. How can I... Let me do this really quick. Okay. Uh-oh. This is... Gotta love technology, right? It's... the magic of all of this. So let me see if I share my screen this way. Is that your first photo? I don't know if you can see this, Sam, but let me see if I can do this. You might need to just... Okay, so I'll just explain what I'm seeing. So you're hugging somebody who's shorter than you with, like, a teal-colored shirt for the first one. So that's one. Yeah, you might need to probably just see it on Facebook or whatever, but then there's going to be a delay, so I don't know. So that's one. And she was wearing glasses. I don't know if you want to do any, like, storytelling or anything like that.
I honestly, just from the descriptions, I'm just like, I don't know which one that was.
Yeah, let me see. This is kind of, like, weird with my screen really quick. Okay, let me just do it this way. I should be sharing my screen right now. Okay, so then the second photo is... The guy, it looks like you're in a kitchen, and you're kind of like, it looks like you're doing a selfie type of hug. So that's fun. That's 2. 3 is you look like you're in, like, I don't know if it's a restaurant or whatever, you're hugging somebody. So that's 3. And another person in that same restaurant from a different angle. They've got these fun, like, baskets on the ceiling.
Oh, that's the co-working space that I was at.
Co-working space. Okay, that's 4. These are like super intimate hugs. I don't think that mine are as, like, close. So you're gonna get the award for that. Number 5. Here's another hug again in the co-working space. That's 5. 6. There's another. This looks like it's in maybe somebody's apartment or whatnot. That's 6. 7. There's another person, looks like that same place. 8. Another person. Did you have to, like, basically, like, take selfies while you were, like, hugging the people for some of these?
For a lot of them, yeah. When I was in the co-working space, somebody offered to do it, but I actually have a little thing on, like, the back of my phone that allows me, like, if you get these things that, like, extend and you can put your hand on them, like, you can hold the phone really easily, so that made it really helpful to be like, okay.
I can't see you right now, so you'll have to show me what that is. Is it like a pop socket or something like that?
That's probably what it's called, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about that when we're done. Okay. And then I think this is 9. Another photo of the girl, both of you wearing glasses. You see some alcohol in the background. And then, ooh, we've got a video. I'm going to play this video really quick.
Yeah.
7-second video. It's a little slow.
Oh no.
It's okay. We got it. Awesome. Some video. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great. So that looked like 10, right?
Yep.
Awesome. 10 for Sam. All right, let me switch back to video really quick of us, if I can figure out where I dragged that screen to. Look at my crazy desktop, you guys. Like, this is ridiculous. I have so many files. Okay. And then there's, like, classroom that I probably shouldn't be, sure. Okay, so let me get to the second, and I gotta pull up my stuff.
Like, classroom that I probably should.
Oh, I just heard myself, like, echo. That's...
No, that was my fault. I was trying to show it somewhere else.
Oh, okay.
You did it. We're good.
Okay. Let me see if I can... All right, so I started my... Let me see if I can switch again, and you might just need to see this, but I'm gonna wisp through again. Okay, so I'm gonna share the screen. Okay, so I gotta move this video thing again. Okay, so I did, so I have 22. You might see that on my screen already for people who are watching. But I got lucky because I have friends, or I basically asked my entire improv class to hug me, and they basically said yes. So there's one. This is my friend, Mike. Let's see, how do I shift to the next picture? Because it's not letting me. It's like super slow. So there's 2. That's Eric. 3 is Betsy. 4, I don't know. Okay, is Honey. Everyone in the background's like looking. Oop, there's 2. Okay, no, I actually had 21 because I guess we had a mix up on a photo. 5, that's Jake. And let's see if I can go to the next one. 6. Oh, there's my button. It's like going super slow. Everybody can look at Jake. Look at Jake. He's so fun. 6. Okay, there we go. Andrew. 7 is Elise. 8, Jason. 9. So these are all people that I knew, of course. 9, and this is Michael. 10. Aww. I tried to make some faces, too. Come on, next one. This is Jesus. Like, that was me. Like, I'm gonna make a silly face.
These look such fun hugs, though.
Yeah. This is Allie. And... oh my god, I wanted to say Courtney. I don't know why. But she's my other short person in the class. And then this is Brent. Okay, and then it goes, okay, here's Ryan. This is, like, me at home, like, looking like crap, but whatever. But he was like, I want to hug you. And then this is Super Bowl Sunday. I was dressed and we were at a friend's house. So this is a double hug with Sophie and Lucy. These are my kids' best friends. This is Amanda, their mom. And then here's a side hug with their dad because we were wearing Bears outfits at a non-Bears Super Bowl. And then, let's see what else. I think I'm almost done. There's Justin in the car. Again, me looking like in the morning, but he was excited to hug me. This is my friend Alana, who I went to visit her while I was getting my car serviced. That was on Monday. And this is Danielle. She's our babysitter. So I was like, please hug me. And she's like, oh no. And then I think here's my last one, if I can not have the spinning wheel of death. Which is my husband, Tim. So, and of course, like, I'm wearing my jacket because it's super, super cold in Chicago. But, yay! Okay, so it looks like we, know the winner. I'm sorry. It was funny because we were like, oh my god, we were both getting super competitive. But, like, hey, that was, like, 31 hugs that we were able to give to people in our respective cities. So, yay! High five! It was like, how do we... Alright, so we should probably start to wrap up because we've got about 5 minutes before I need to hard stop us and go on because I want to try to keep them under an hour. But this has been super, super fun. I think that, one of the big takeaways that I had today was just really looking at just personal touch in a different way. Like, it is one of the 5 love languages. I don't think that it's my biggest love language, but I think in terms of, like, I feel like there are obviously people who care about that. I think it's just, if it's a way that's going to make people happier, and if that's kind of my mission to, like, instill more positivity and happiness in the world, then heck yeah, I'm gonna just continue to hug people. So if you guys ever see me on the street or, like, know that I'm coming to your city, San Francisco, I'm coming to you this weekend. If anyone wants to come find me and give me hugs, I am totally 100% down. I will never say no.
Something tells me you'll get all the hugs in San Francisco.
We'll see. From all the strangers that I didn't get this time around, right? So, do you have any big takeaways, Sam, on just this conversation? Super, super fun. I love just talking about hugs.
Yeah. So the moral of the story is apply to be a cat cuddler in Dublin.
Yes.
And but I think the big thing is, like, I think it's good for us to all pay attention more to, like, how often, like, we actually are in close proximity to people, and sometimes just asking for a hug is the best way to just change that, and it's really cool to, like, see that stigma to, like, go down slowly, and even just starting with, like, your improv group. That was awesome. Yeah. And I wish I had a big enough group to be able to do that with in time for the challenge, but, I honestly, like, considering that I did that, like, in procrastination mode, I'm proud of 10 hugs.
You were sick. I think that you were looking out for everybody else's well-being, so that was you being generous and not getting as many hugs in the name of not spreading the flu, but I absolutely celebrate you for doing that, and it was super, super fun, and I was like, looking at mine, I'm like, I don't know if she's like, she does this for a living, she might be, but, I don't think that even though, like, we all have our competitive spirits and all that stuff, there's that piece of, like, what is the bigger reason for this? And I think that, just instilling, that opportunity and I mean, it was just funny because I don't know about you, but, like, when I was hugging people, it was like something to either laugh about or just something to make them smile, and I'm totally 100% for that. So, like, if I'm gonna hug you and that's gonna, like, give you a little boost for your day, then it's not a big ask. And I think that people who really, there's just so many different things that you can do to be giving to people, and just touch is just one of the big ones. So, yay!
Just next time you see a friend, just be like, would you like a hug?
Yeah,
that's all you need to do. If they say no, okay, fine.
Or you can make them say yes and just say, I need a hug, and they'll just probably do it. I'm gonna do that I'll just go back to my improv class tomorrow. I was telling them, like, if I win, I think I'm gonna make some brownies or something, if you guys are down for that. But I don't know if I have time for that.
We'll 20, how many people are in the group? Like 15 or something? You have some brownies to make.
Yeah, I don't even know if everybody will eat them, but I don't know. I will try to just do that just as a thank you, because I was like, this is kind of awkward, but will you hug me? Even though we're in class every week together. So, but yeah, super, super cool. Well, I just want to thank you, Sam, for being here. I think it was just such a great conversation, super cheerful conversation about hugs and love and Valentine's Day, and I hope you have the best Valentine's Day rest of your day. That it's already more than halfway over, and I just hope that everybody who's watching, whether you're watching this on the replay, apologies for any technical difficulties that I'll probably have to check out and see if I can fix after we're done recording, but I'm so glad that we had the opportunity to connect, because we haven't talked that much since last July, and it's just always great to not do this thing alone. And so I'm really, really glad that we had this opportunity to chat, and thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be around your space, so I'm happy to be a part of this.
Great. And I'm going to end with a quote from my trusty little quote box. So I pulled out this one. Let's see, what is it? With every rising of the sun, think of your life as just begun. Ooh, this one rhymes. So thank you so much, and thank you guys for watching Cheerful Conversations. Feel free to, like, comment, whatever, on Facebook or YouTube when I get this posted, and have a fantastic Valentine's Day.
I'm going to do an air hug.
Air hug. Bye.